lot of people seem to think that the rhythm guitar player in a rock band is kind of a trivial role. Like, it doesn't really matter, right? Well, I don't feel that way. I don't know if you feel that way, but let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Also, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a comment down below. Before anything, let's salute all rhythm guitar players. Cheers. Okay, so we're going to name a few rhythm guitar players. I'm going to ask you to leave your favorite rhythm guitar player in the comments, also what bands they've been in or what band they're most known for, and also in the comment, if you don't mind, add whether or not they play leads as well, because in this video we're going to talk about rhythm players, solely rhythm players, and rhythm players that also play a lead or two here and there. My favorite rhythm guitar player of all would be the Star Child, Paul Stanley. Now, Paul sometimes will play a lead here and there, but he doesn't like playing leads. And when they were looking for Ace Frehley right after Wicked Lester and all that, and they had Peter in the band, and they were a trio for a little bit, not very long, but for a little bit. And, you know, Paul was like, we need a lead man. We need somebody who can play lead guitars. Now, in the 70s, Ace actually said, and in the 80s, Ace complimented Paul's lead guitar work and said that he was actually catching up to him in speed, but Paul just did not like playing leads. So I would say Paul would be my favorite rhythm guitar player of all, but there's others. Mick Cripps from LA Guns, phenomenal rhythm guitar player. And before we talk about Mick, back to Paul and Gene co-wrote most of Kiss's songs. Paul could write songs on his own. So easily on his own, and did it all the time, and wrote with other people besides Gene. And as a rhythm guitar player, understood the value of the lead guitar, the bass, the drums. You know, Kiss had some keyboard songs, acoustic instruments, arrangements. I mean, you know, the reality of the matter is that Paul is a very, very celebrated musician, and I would say primarily as a rhythm guitar player. But let's talk about Mick Cripps. You know, Mick Cripps, Tracy Guns, and Kelly Nichols are responsible for a truckload of the LA Guns catalog, especially that original catalog. And Tracy Guns, the quintessential lead man, has often said that Mick would come up with the ideas, they would flesh them out, two guitar players in the same room, you know, swapping riffs. And even though Mick, I don't believe, ever played a lead in his life with LA Guns or any other bands, probably could have if he wanted to, but his heart was playing rhythm guitar. Izzy Stradlin, also credited with writing some of the biggest and best Guns N' Roses tracks in collaboration with Axl, in collaboration with Duff, in collaboration with Slash. Izzy Stradlin's role in Guns N' Roses is undeniable. If it wasn't for Izzy Stradlin, the heart and soul of Guns N' Roses, they may never have hit it big. So Izzy Stradlin, again, a guy that I don't think ever played leads. Mick Cripps, I don't think ever played leads. But they were so good as rhythm guitar players. But then you've got some rhythm guitar players that, in fact, do play leads, like the late, great Robin Crosby. To call Robin Crosby just a rhythm guitar player, I don't think is really accurate, because especially for those first two big Rat albums, Robin had quite a few solos, and he was very, very fast, had great dexterity, very, very creative lead guitar player. And yes, Warren got better because, you know, Warren didn't have the addiction problems that Robin did. Warren was the primary lead guitar player. Warren played with a lot of different bands and a lot of different types of music, and he was a lot more technical. But again, I mean, you know, those first couple of Rat records, Robin and Warren were trading off solos, and Robin's solos were very, very good. But I would say that Robin was more a rhythm man than Warren was. Then you look at a guy who I think is very talented, and we're talking, of course, of Brad Whitford from Aerosmith. Now, Brad Whitford, you know, has said on countless interviews he doesn't like to write a song from A to Z. he probably could, but it's really not his cup of tea. But he likes to work with people that are more talented than him. I don't know if that's really accurate, but that's what he said. And his collaborations in Aerosmith, I mean, he's written some of their hits, co-written some of their hits. And Slash from Guns N' Roses cites both Brad Whitford and Joe Perry as direct influences, but actually says in terms of playing, he actually was more inspired, believe it or not, by Brad Whitford, because Brad Whitford, again, wrote the heavier riffs and played the heavier riffs than Joe Perry. But you wouldn't know that because everybody looks at Aerosmith like they look at Zeppelin and they only see the lead singer and the lead guitarist. But in Aerosmith, Brad Whitford actually played the heavier guitar riffs and played some really, really good solos as well. So again, you got kind of like these guys that kind of, they're maybe primarily rhythm, but they play some leads, and then you got guys that are strictly rhythm and play no leads. But again, the rhythm guitar player really has not gotten the respect that they deserve. Now, who are some of your favorite rhythm guitar players and why? And do they sing background vocals, or like Paul Stanley, do they sing lead vocals as well? I got to tell you something, the rhythm guitar player really honestly has not gotten the respect that I believe that they are entitled to. I'll give you an example. Let me hydrate a second here. I remember for the 7 or 8 years that John Corabi, formerly of The Scream, formerly of Motley Crue, played rhythm guitars in Rat, he took a lot of heat for that. Oh yeah, he's playing rhythm guitars for Rat, as if that wasn't an important role. And it's a very important role. And look at John. John has the ability to sing choruses, background vocals, lead vocals, and all the while he's playing rhythm guitar. And I think John could probably play some lead guitars as well. When Motley Crue got John Corabi, they hit the jackpot. Now, it wasn't his fault that they didn't, put out the record until 5 years after Dr. Feelgood, or that, it was the grunge era, or that, they didn't want to, stick it through with him for personality number 9. They dumped him and they brought Vince back, and they kind of did him dirty. But the thing is, he was a very, very well-rounded musician, could play leads, could play rhythms, could play bass, could sing leads, backgrounds, all that stuff. And, I think that Rat really hit the jackpot with him for those 6 or 7, maybe 8 years. And then they bring in Carlos Cavazo, who could also play leads, who did play leads with Quiet Riot, but was actually playing more rhythms with Rat. Again, I think that the rhythm guitar player does not get the respect that they so deserve, simply because, they're not dropping to their knees, wailing with a guitar solo. But again, the rhythm guitar player and the bass player and the drummer, that rhythm section is so important, that bottom end. But the rhythm guitar is not the bass guitar. So it really isn't fair to say that the rhythm guitar is playing the bottom end, but it has an interaction with the bottom end and the drums and the bass, but also can play, some rhythms actually, you can have some active rhythms. In fact, if you in the comments want to share, there's just so much we can talk about with rhythm guitar players. I don't want to overextend myself, but there's very foundational rhythm parts that are very important. And some musicians will tell you it isn't so much about what you play, but what you don't play. And this is something that Paul Stanley actually said to Mark St. John. And you can hear that audio. I don't want to cite it because I don't want to butcher it, but he basically, Mark St. John, who was a member of KISS for like 3 months for the Animalize tour, was all about speed, and that's why he was brought in, because they want to basically forget about Vinnie Vincent. So they bring in this speed demon. And Paul told him in the studio one time, from something Paul had said that I watched, he said to Mark, he said, sometimes it isn't what you play, but it's what you don't play. It's knowing not to play something when you really want. And I guess it didn't register, because I guess Mark St. John, God rest his soul, maybe wasn't the inventor of the Rubik's Cube or anything like that. He wasn't like the brightest bulb in the pack. But it makes sense to me as a fan of music. Sometimes, not playing, not overplaying makes a lot of sense. And I think that a rhythm guitar player, really truly a real rhythm guitar player, not a lead guitar player playing rhythm because he couldn't get lead, or a keyboardist playing rhythm because they couldn't find someone else. But I'm talking about a real rhythm guitar player knows exactly what to play and what not to play for the benefit of the song. Johnny Rod, actually, bass player, not rhythm guitar player, but Johnny Rod on an interview said that when he plays bass, he plays it for the song. You want to do your solo, great, that's fine. But when you're playing the song, you're playing for the song. I mean, and that's what I think, that's how I think you can really kind of understand the role, the very important role of the rhythm guitar player. It isn't so much flash and balls and all that stuff, but it's doing right by the song. And that's why I love the rhythm guitar, and I hope that you will leave some of your favorite rhythm guitar players, whether in the comments, if you see this on Facebook, the comments, whether you see this on YouTube. Share with all of us your favorite rhythm guitar player and why, what band, what song in the comments. And again, guys, please like this video at any point in time, and please subscribe to the Sight Sound Slavers YouTube channel. Ring that bell. See you for the next one. Rock on.